So hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. Woo, no snakes. Let's kick this one over. Oh no, we're good. Look here. Woo! Ain't no copperheads down in that. Ha ha, winning. So welcome to the channel and welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. I'm out here doing some work before it gets dark. It's gonna be getting dark here in a few minutes. And I have so much canning to do. We have so much canning to do. My social media is so crazy. And I just want to thank you for that and thank you for your support. I had some conversations today with some people and some things that happened and it's got me thinking. And so you're smart people. Let's talk this out. I've pretty much come to the conclusion that you just really can't get too mad at too many people anymore, because the bottom line is, folks, for a lot of us, me and you, they just weren't raised like us. So what I'm doing, we're getting set for our last mow, pretty much the 1st of November, if it's not too wet. We still mow here in Southeast Tennessee, so I think we have one good mowing left and we should be done pretty much. The leaves, as you have seen, have not really fully fallen yet. So, we don't mind the leaves. We like to collect them and use them as mulch or just leave them be. I'm going around looking at all my trees that we've planted. And so far, I think all of them have made it with the exception of the cherry tree. So it's time to get these things picked up. This is what we drilled, and when it was hot, we would put water in it so they would continually get watered throughout the hot months of the summer. We would fill it up once or twice a week, make sure they got what they needed. And so far, all of them have done really well, but it is time to mow and clean up the final prep, and I need to mulch around the base of the trees. She still has her leaves on her. Yeah, these deciduous, yellow delicious trees. We got several different ones, apricot. We did several varieties of apples so they could cross-pollinate, cherry. I have a few more things I need to plant, but I was told to wait till spring. I got some beautiful figs. Oh, you should see these. So, but she said let them overwinter where they are and then plant them in the spring. So this is a ongoing project and we're just doing little bits at a time. And but I'm glad we got it started. Amen, amen. Okay, so I wanted to kick that around, check everything, and get everything put together because I'll have the boys come finish picking it all up. But I always like to check before, Mama knows, Mama tried. Speaking of Mama tried, this is what it goes down, goes back to. So, we're making these videos lately, and there's a resonance with you, and it's resonating with you because you feel the same things that I do, because you have the same concerns that I have. And it's interesting because today I listened to my own teenage son tell me, Mom, you see, you can have really good conversations with people regardless of their politics because they're paying attention to what matters and they're paying attention to, common sense. And I thought, what a bright young man I have raised. All three of them for sure, but that Gabriel, he's really something unique, so smart. So this is what happened. So we caught up with a gentleman today who is from the Church of Latter-day Saints. And we had a pretty in-depth, detailed, I'm gonna scratch my face and get mud on me, detailed conversation about preparedness, common sense, taking care of yourself, staying sane. And I got like a double A+, which was kind of nice because I would just look at my child and go, see, I'm not that crazy. But, some things weren't necessarily something that we completely agreed with. You could tell that there were some differences, but I'm not going to disrespect somebody and argue with them. I'm going to listen and I might have some input and say thank you so much and move on with my day. I'm very opinionated, but just because I go out in public doesn't mean, and talk with somebody, or I don't necessarily disagree with somebody, does not mean that we can't have a civil conversation. And that happened today, and I was so glad that it did. But the thing is, we were talking about preparedness. And we were talking about the line of which, where is too far? Where does it get crazy? Where does it get scary? All of that stuff. And, I just looked at the gentleman and I said, you know what? When it comes to being prepared, I have always had the motto of, you know, my great-great-grandmother or my grandmothers or my great-great-grandmother, they didn't think of themselves as being nuts. They didn't consider themselves as losing their minds or going too far because they kept a year or year and a half, whatever, worth that time period of food. They tried so hard year round. They made everything last. And when they had opportunities to put extra items on the shelf, or they had extra opportunities to do things, to make things that they couldn't regularly do happen with community, that's what they did. Why? Because we have fast forwarded, you know, maybe 75 to 100 years. Why is that any different? To me, just like they looked at it, I look at all of these things that we're trying to do and the relationships we're trying to build with like minds. To me, it's insurance. So the interesting part about this is later in the afternoon, we ran some errands, and by the way, I'll show you. I ran by Trader Joe's. I haven't been to Trader Joe's in I don't know how long, and they had cookie butter. It wasn't the crunchy, but they did. They had some on the shelf, just a little bit. I was like, oh. So anyway, but on my way back, I stopped and checked on my Nana. And I have asked her to do some videos. I'm on her. I know a lot of you want to see more videos with my Nana, so I don't think I'm not trying. But we sat and talked for a bit, and I checked on her today, and I was there for a couple of hours and whatnot, and we ate and whatever, and spent some time with her, and I was talking about what I just pretty much told you. And she started squinting her eyes, you know. She starts going into deep thought. Nana's going into deep thought, right? And I'm like, okay, here's a moment. She said, I remember going to like a cannery or canning with Granny. Now, what you don't know or what you may not know is until I was 16 years old, there were 5 generations in my family. It was me, my mom, my Nana, who you have seen on videos, her mother, who ironically, this is part of the reason I stopped by her house today. Today is the 30-year mark anniversary, in a sense, if you want to call it that, of her death. She died 30 years ago today. So that's part of the reason why I swung by there, just to how you doing and you know, and talk and whatever. And she, you know, she was fine. But so it was, like I said, me, Mom, Nana, my great grandmother, who you've seen me talk about many times, and then her mother. And because, you know, our family tended to have children kind of young, all the women, I was blessed until I was 16 to have a great grandmother. Now, up until I was about 11, she was very, very, very active. So she was like my best friend. So when my Nana talks about her grandmother, I have firsthand knowledge, firsthand experience, firsthand connection to this woman. This woman is one of the women that helped raise me. Okay, I could tell endless stories because I didn't just go visit her on Sunday. I was there in many cases, and especially in the summer or after school. That's where I was. They took care of me. My great-great-grandmother and her daughter, my great mother and daughter there, they lived together. So where was I? I was, you know, him-hawing around with great-granny and great-great-granny. That was normal in my family. So she was telling me how when she was a little girl, she kept saying, I remember going, and we went to this like cannery. I've never heard this story, people. I said, what do you mean? She said, I was with Granny and we loaded up, it's green beans. We loaded up green beans. And we went, she said, I don't know if we went to the old high school, and we met with people, and we had a massive community canning. I said, when was this? I said, how old were you? She said, well, I think I was like 8 or 9. And I said, so this was during World War II? She said, yes, I know that. And so we talked about it for a few minutes, and I just sat there and I was like, I have never heard this. I'm not surprised by it, but I've not heard it. So it's another story to document here with you and to put in the books. So I just called her before I milked the cow, and I've done all these things, and I said, go over this with me again. I said, did I hear you right? And she said, yes. I said, do you know that she just went and did these things? She said, no, I went with her. She said, Granny couldn't drive, which I know that for a fact. She said, I don't know how we got there. And she said, I don't think it was actually at the high school, but we were putting them in all these we brought our green beans. I said, was it just you and her? And she said, no, it was other people. And we were a community. It was like a community canning. We were putting them in the cans. And she said, I remember all of it. I can see it. And that stirred my emotions, because here I am sharing this moment with my Nana today, and I'm sharing this moment with you. And it goes back to what I just had said, in terms of talking with the gentleman from the church, Latter-day Saints, and talking about lifestyle. These things are lifestyle. Us trying to prepare for anything is not abnormal. It is a lifestyle. But folks, the difference between now and then is that so many chose to get away from it. All of these things that we are talking about these days in terms of being, diligent for your family, you're not that far removed from people that didn't know anything different. That is what they did. So I had a girl on my channel show up here on my comments this evening. And all of this is all stirred up at, in one day in one afternoon. And, I'm not worried about it, y'all. But she said she worked at Walmart and they had plenty of stuff at her Walmart. And we need to stop scaring people. And at first, because, I'm a little fiery, I was like, how dare you? How dare you come to my forum and tell me what I should and shouldn't say? Which, fundamentally, she needs to just move on. I mean, if you're watching something or if somebody is bothering you in your life, or you're unhappy with people in your life or whatever, you need to just make a decision and move on. Just move along, little doggy. But then as I came up here to the barn, which is why I'm filming, and I milked my cow, and she was giving me sweet kisses, and I just was thinking, I had called my Nana, and I was talking this out, and I realized when I got out of the car, and I came over here, because I've chosen this lifestyle. I've chosen to claim my roots. I've been doing this a long time now. We made this decision years ago. And a lot of these things I enjoy and I respect and I want to do, because I had these women and men too in my life that this is the only way they knew. And even though I can't say that some of these things that I'm doing now, I didn't do some of these things as a kid. But I witnessed a lot of things. I don't know anything different. I don't want to choose to know anything different. And I'm proud of these things. I'm proud to have awareness. I'm proud to understand how quickly things can flip on us on a dime. I'm proud to know that I have skill sets that I've tried to sustain my family, and I can help others learn how to sustain themselves too. So don't you dare apologize for anything that you're doing. I hope you go to every store tonight in your community and they are packed full as a tick. I hope tomorrow you wake up and you go down the road and gas is back where it was almost a year ago, which was $1.59 a gallon here in Southeast Tennessee. I hope all of these things pass. I hope everybody becomes peaceful. I hope your children become everything that you want them to be. But we're not guaranteed any of these things. And historically, they were not guaranteed those things either. The difference between then and now is they weren't willing to settle for less. They were going to go down with a fight. They didn't know anything different. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Somebody, whether you knew them or not, whether you even know who they are, there is somebody, some granny, some papaw somewhere not far behind you that brought you into this world because of their grit and because they weren't willing to give in. They weren't willing to say, I give up. They weren't willing to say, well, I guess we're just going to all go down in flames together. Maybe some did, but somebody didn't, because you're the proof in the pudding. So don't let anybody tell you that you're scaring them or that you're foolish or that you're silly. Just mark them off. Pray for them, even if they get on your nerves. The fact of the matter is they clearly weren't raised like we are. trying to, in terms of remembering where we come from. And you may not necessarily have grown up exactly like your great-great-great-granny. But you know what? If you're aware and if you're looking around and you've made a decision to be proactive with everything that you're doing, you know what's happening? Her DNA, their DNA, is coursing through your veins. Make no mistake about it. I promise you that. And they've brought you alive. They've made you become awake. And above all, as long as you know, when you put your head down at night and you say your prayers and you thank the Lord and you thank Jesus for all of your blessings, you ask them, you ask Him, you ask God, you say, you tell me what I'm supposed to do. And if He tells you to shut up and sit down and stop scaring people and just depend on the local grocery store and don't worry about it, if that's what you're told, let me know. Let me know. Y'all, we got to get in that house and get that canner out. I'm doing a lot of talking. I got to do more walking, right? All right. It's going to get dark. Remember, that tree was the yellow. What was I keep calling it deciduous. Delicious. Guys, I love you. Thank you for your support. Stay the course.